Our next speaker is a real interesting gentleman, and I've known him for not quite the whole 25 years. He's been an executive director of the National Governors Association. But I'm trying to think how to introduce him in a way that hasn't been done before. And the one thing I thought of was everyone here has got a family. It may be a big family or a small family. You may be embarrassed by your family, but everyone's got a family. And everyone can understand what it's like to get a family to agree on something, whether it's what to eat for dinner, or when does grandma go to the nursing home, or where you're going to have Thanksgiving. And it's really hard to get a family to agree on anything. So imagine your family had 50 people in it. And those 50 people came from all over the country, and they were elected in their own right. And unlike your family, when your kids grow up, they either get a job, or go to college, or go to jail, or something, they leave. And Ray's family of 50, they never go. Or when one goes, somebody just shows up to replace him. And his number stays the same. He doesn't get to enjoy the golden years that some of us do when the kids move on. And then you add to that mix, can you imagine getting, I'm trying to pick a random sampling of governors that who you have to work with, and it's actually pretty easy to come up with, between Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, and Sarah Palin, and Martin O'Malley, William Donald Schaefer. I mean, you think of all these people over the years, George W. Bush, Mike Dukakis, Bill Clinton. It's Ray Shabak's job to get these 50 people to work together and look for common interests. And then once he finds the common interest, they try to plot out what do you do to actually advance those. And that's pretty tricky stuff. And the fact that he's done it for 25 years is pretty amazing. And yet his interpersonal skills are only one of the reasons he actually is in there. His knowledge of the federal budget, federal dollars, is probably second to none. And he's got the combination of knowing the history. He worked in this field for 25 years. You know the stories of how grant programs started and how they ended and how things shifted. There's been some big shifts in these 25 years. But any professor can do the history part. He has to do the looking forward part also to see how do you plot the governors in a position to do better with what's coming up ahead. And how do you separate out what's just, oh, that's history versus, oh, that was a one-time shot. It's going to be different. It's really tricky, and he's done a good job. And the reason he's up here today is, in case you haven't noticed, there's an election coming up in just a couple of months. And whoever our next president is, he has got a couple of unbelievable problems dealing with federal funds and dollars coming in. And Ray's job today is to try to break out the issues that the next president will have to deal with, and to put them in the context that all of you care about, whether you're state government, local government, nonprofits. A lot of federal funds work their way through. And this matters to us. This matters to all of us, what happens. And Ray's going to take his best shot at the crystal ball and come up and try to say what's coming down the pipe, not just in November, but as soon as Congress reconvenes with the new president and in the time after. So please join me in welcoming Ray Shabak.
Thank you, Eric, for that introduction. I'm often asked about funny stories of governors and things of that sort, and generally the real good ones I don't tell. But I often do tell the one about Bill Clinton, because I'm often asked about him. The comment is always, obviously, how bright he was, how he could go up on the Hill and testify on welfare reform and know the bill better than the members who wrote it, about his political skills and so on. But what I always remember is that he would always forget his wallet. And it would always be when we would be going to the White House. As everybody knows, when you go to the White House, you need an ID card. Otherwise, you stand outside for 45 minutes while they go inside and get somebody to come out and get you. So not only did he never have any money, but he didn't have his ID card. Then he would come back afterwards and ask for money because he was going to another meeting. So he had to really take care of it. It's quite a whole meeting. Second thing I'd like to mention is that really have had a luxury in terms of presidential. it's actually NGA that has been the breeding grounds for 4 out of the last 5 presidents. It's not been the Senate, so this is somewhat an unusual time. I thought right up till close to the end, though, early on in the primaries on the Republican side, we had former Governor Huckabee and Romney, who were in a wave and finally dropped out. So I figured at that time I really wouldn't have a president, former governor. We started looking at the vice president. And then it became the current chairman at the time was Governor Pawlenty, and I thought that he really did have a decent shot at it. But I must admit, I didn't really think Sarah Palin was going to be the vice president. Now, I should have been a little bit suspicious because the Alaska governors generally it's a long ways to attend both of our meetings in the year. And over the last 2 years, she's come to all 4 of the meetings. So she's been trying to clearly make some contact. What I'd like to talk about today in terms of crystal balling a little bit what's going to happen. It's really 4 things. First, what is the budget outlook that the next president is going to inherit, and what's the underlying economy? Second of all, how would McCain and how would Obama really adjust those priorities in terms of the budget? Third, what is their philosophy on mandates for states and potentially preemptions with respect to states? And then fourth, what would their role or how would the states be impacted by their major initiatives? I'll put such things as energy, healthcare, social security reform, immigration, cap and trade, stimulus, financial restructuring. We don't know which ones are going to do which first. In other words, I don't have a clue what is going to be HR1 and S1, but they are going to add a lot of these pretty major impacts on state boards of government. Let me just make sure a couple of comments though about the state fiscal tradition as it is now, just to give an overview before we go into the federal component.